Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Anuja Kumar, and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says, despite reaching 1 billion vaccination landmark, country's fight against COVID-19 still not over. Congratulating the nation on the achievement of extraordinary feat, Prime Minister appeals everyone to celebrate the upcoming festivals with utmost caution. Prime Minister writes an article in a leading newspaper on India's vaccination achievement, says success of the campaign was because of people of India unanimously trusted Made in India vaccines. Over 100 crore 59 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Recovery rate stands at 98.16%, the highest since March 2020. 152 Saksham centers launched under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana in a week as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Jammu police arrested 2 people, including a police constable, in connection with a drone weapon dropping case in Makwal sector. Australia says it will soon establish a travel bubble with Singapore. In Kerala, red alert for Idukki Dam revised to orange following a slight dip in the water level. And in T20 World Cup, Namibia to clash with Ireland at 3:30 p.m. today, and Sri Lanka to take on the Netherlands at 7:30 p.m. As India created history by administering 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now, the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that despite reaching the 1 billion landmark, India's fight against COVID-19 is still not over. He addressed the nation today on administering 100 crore vaccine doses.
21 अक्टूबर को भारत ने 1 बिलियन 100 करोड़ वैक्सीन डोज का कठिन लेकिन असाधारण लक्ष्य प्राप्त किया है। इस उपलब्धि के पीछे 130 करोड़ देशवासियों की कर्तव्य शक्ति लगी है। इसलिए ये सफलता भारत की सफलता है, हर देशवासी की सफलता है। मैं इसके लिए सभी देशवासियों को हृदय से बधाई देता हूं।
Requesting all to celebrate the upcoming festivals with utmost caution, the Prime Minister said everyone has to ensure COVID-appropriate behavior, wear masks and ensure social distancing. He also cautioned against negligence in fight against COVID-19, saying however strong the shield is, arms are not laid as long as the war is on.
मेरा आग्रह है कि हमें अपने त्योहारों को पूरी सतर्कता के साथ ही मनाना है और जहां तक मास्क का सवाल है, मेरा इतना ही कहना है, जैसे हमें जूते पहन करके ही बाहर जाने की आदत लग गई है ना, बस वैसे ही मास्क को भी एक सहज स्वभाव बनाना ही हो। जिनको अभी तक वैक्सीन नहीं लगी है, वो इसे सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता दें। जिन्हें वैक्सीन लग गई है, वो दूसरों को प्रेरित करें। मुझे पूरा भरोसा है कि हम सब मिलकर प्रयास करेंगे तो कोरोना को और जल्द हरा पाएंगे। आप सभी को आने वाले त्योहारों की एक बार फिर बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
The Prime Minister appealed to all those who have not taken the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine to get vaccinated and those who are vaccinated to encourage others. He said India's vaccine campaign is a living example of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas. Mr. Modi said India successfully crossed the bridge of anxiety to assurance. He said it was a difficult but extraordinary target.
100 करोड़ वैक्सीन डोज ये केवल एक आंकड़ा नहीं है, ये देश के सामर्थ्य का प्रतिबिंब है, इतिहास के नए अध्याय की रचना है। ये उस नए भारत की तस्वीर है जो कठिन लक्ष्य निर्धारित कर उन्हें हासिल करना जानता है। ये उस नए भारत की तस्वीर है जो अपने संकल्पों की सिद्धि के लिए परिश्रम की पराकाष्ठा करता है।
The Prime Minister said India's zeal to combat the largest pandemic in the world in the past 100 years is commendable and shows the country's determination to fight it out. He said the research and development of vaccines has always been dependent upon developed nations, but when the worst pandemic of the last 100 years came, India proved it is no less. He said the government has assisted the citizens in providing free vaccine to ensure maximum outreach to the people.
हमारे लिए लोकतंत्र का मतलब है सबका साथ। सबको साथ लेकर देश ने सबको वैक्सीन, मुफ्त वैक्सीन का अभियान शुरू किया। गरीब, अमीर, गांव, शहर, दूर सुदूर देश का एक ही मंत्र रहा कि अगर बीमारी भेदभाव नहीं करती तो वैक्सीन में भी भेदभाव नहीं हो सकता। इसलिए ये सुनिश्चित किया गया कि वैक्सीनेशन अभियान पर वीआईपी कल्चर हावी न हो।
The Prime Minister said science and scientific approach has been the building blocks to develop the Indian vaccine and overcome all the shortcomings. He said it is a matter of pride for everyone that the entire vaccination program of India has been science-born, science-driven and science-based.
हमारे सामने चुनौती मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को लेकर भी थी, प्रोडक्शन को स्केल अप करने की भी थी। इतना बड़ा देश, इतनी बड़ी आबादी, उसके बाद अलग अलग राज्यों में, दूर दराज इलाकों में समय से वैक्सीन पहुंचाना, ये भी किसी भागीरथ कार्य से कम नहीं था। लेकिन वैज्ञानिक तौर तरीकों और नए नए इनोवेशन से देश ने इस चुनौतियों के समाधान तलाशे असाधारण स्पीड से संसाधनों को बढ़ाया गया।
The Prime Minister said despite the pandemic, government has introduced projects like Central Vista, PM Gati Shakti to boost India's economic growth. He said today, not only record investments are coming in, but new employment opportunities are also being created for the youth. He said there is optimism everywhere and experts and world agencies are very positive about the Indian economy.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also written an article in a leading newspaper today on the country achieving the 100 crore vaccination doses mark. Mr. Modi expressed hope that the success achieved in the world's largest vaccination drive will further spur our youth, our innovators and all levels of government to set new benchmarks of public service delivery, which will be a model not only for the country but also for the world. He said one of the reasons for the success of the campaign was the trust that people developed in the vaccine and the process followed, despite various efforts to create mistrust and panic. Mr. Modi said when it came to something as crucial as the COVID-19 vaccine, the people of India unanimously trusted Made in India vaccines, and it is a significant paradigm shift. The Prime Minister said this has been a tremendous journey, especially when we recall how things stood in early 2020. He said people remember how unpredictable the situation appeared then, as people faced with an unknown and invisible enemy mutating rapidly. The Prime Minister said it has been a truly Bhagirath effort involving multiple sections of society. He said it took around 41 lakh man-made days or approximately 11,000 man-years of effort to reach this landmark. The Prime Minister said healthcare workers traversed hills and crossed rivers across difficult geographies to vaccinate people. He said the youth, social workers, healthcare workers, social and religious leaders all deserve credit for the fact that India faces minimal vaccine hesitancy when compared to even developed nations. Mr. Modi said more than 180 countries are dependent on an extremely limited pool of producers and dozens of nations are still waiting for the supply of vaccines even as India has crossed 100 crore doses. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and several union ministers have congratulated people of the country on achieving the 100 crore vaccination target. Home and Cooperation Minister Amit Shah described the achievement as a historic and proud moment.
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said that 100 crore vaccination mark is a symbol of India's ability, resilience and strength of 135 crore Indians. Addressing the graduating students at the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade in New Delhi, Mr. Goyal said the vaccine century is a true symbol of the collective wisdom of India. He said it is victory for Make in India for the world.
India stands proud today. The 100 crore vaccination doses is a symbol of India's strength, confidence, capabilities, capacity, our resilience, our abilities, our talent. It's a salute to 130 crore Indians' collective effort, a self-confident India, an India that believes in itself, a self-reliant India that not only serves the needs of India, but of the whole world.
In Telangana, people from different walks of life have expressed immense happiness on India's 100 crore vaccination achievement, saying they take pride in being its part. A consultant physician, Dr. Srinivas Reddy, congratulated both the central and the state government on reaching the milestone in 9 months. Industrialist Ram Babu from Medchal Malkajgiri district said most of his employees were affected due to COVID-19. But after getting the vaccination, right from the employees to the director of the company, now they are feeling secure and healthy.
For the last 2 years, along with the nation, our company also has suffered due to this COVID. Most of our employees who got sick and ill have recovered by God's grace. As soon as the vaccine program of the Government of India started, we have requested everyone from the industry, including ourselves at the director stage, have got the vaccination done. And we all feel it is almost like a shield protecting all of us.
Mehboob Nagar General Hospital Superintendent Dr. Ramkishan expressed happiness and appealed the people to continue following COVID-appropriate behavior.
Our country crossed 100 crores corona vaccination. Still, we have some doubts in our people that shall we wear mask or not. Doubts are there. In these situations, I would like to advise our people is we have to follow those 3 important precautions. That is, number 1, we have to wear the mask. Second one is we have to follow the distance. Third one is we have to do frequent sanitation of our hands. So, please complete our vaccination schedule.
Sheikh Rahimullah, a company auto driver in Hyderabad, says he's feeling secure after taking the COVID vaccine.
मैं वैक्सीन लिया, मेरे घर में भी 3 जनों को दिलाया। उबर का ऑटो चलाता हूँ मैं, अभी सब सिक्योर है। दूसरा डोज अभी लेने का है, अभी 3 मंथ का आफ्टर लेवल लेते हैं, अभी लूंगा जाके फिर। इसके लेने से जरा मेरी बॉडी में भी कुछ इन्फेक्शन का डाउट नहीं है और मैं हेल्थी फुल महसूस कर रहा हूँ। मेरा कारोबार में भी कोई डिस्टर्बेंस नहीं आ रहा है।
More than 100 crore 59 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Health Ministry said over 61 lakh 27,000 doses were administered yesterday. India reported more than 15,000 new cases during the last 24 hours and over 18,000 people recovered in the same period. The active caseload in the country now stands at 1,75,745, the lowest in the last 232 days. The recovery rate is 98.16%, highest since March last year. In the last 24 hours, 231 deaths were reported. The death toll due to the pandemic has reached 4,53,042. In Gujarat, more than 3,50,000 people were vaccinated yesterday. According to the State Health Department, the total figure of the vaccination in the state has crossed 6 crore 80 lakh doses. Our correspondent reports that Gujarat is contributing 6.7% in the overall vaccination of the country.
Gujarat will complete the 100% vaccination target against COVID-19 in coming days. According to the official sources, the state is leading the country in per million vaccinations. At present, 90% of the population of the state has been covered under the first dose. More than 15,000 villages, 3 municipal corporations and 4 districts of the state have already completed 100% vaccination. The authorities are now identifying the people eligible for the second dose of vaccine to increase the coverage of vaccination in the state. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says despite reaching 1 billion vaccination landmark, country's fight against COVID-19 is still not over. Congratulating the nation on the achievement of extraordinary feat, Prime Minister appeals to everyone to celebrate the upcoming festivals with utmost caution. Prime Minister writes an article in a leading newspaper on India's vaccination achievement, says success of the campaign was because people of India unanimously trusted Made in India vaccines. Over 100 crore 59 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Recovery rate stands at 98.16%, the highest since March 2020. 152 Saksham centers launched under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana in a week as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Jammu police arrest 2 people, including a police constable, in connection with a drone weapon dropping case in Makwal sector. Australia says it will soon establish travel bubble with Singapore. In Kerala, red alert for Idukki Dam revised to orange following a slight dip in the water level. And in the T20 World Cup, Namibia to clash with Ireland at 3:30 p.m. today, and Sri Lanka to take on the Netherlands at 7:30 p.m. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
स्वाधीनता आंदोलन के दौरान भारतीय जनमानस को उद्वेलित कर स्वतंत्रता का अलख जगाने और मातृभूमि के प्रति सेवा, समर्पण और त्याग की ज्वाला प्रज्वलित कर देने वाले अमर गीतों पर आधारित विशेष कार्यक्रम आजादी के तराने सुनना न भूलें। FM गोल्ड 100.1 मेगाहर्ट्ज पर प्रत्येक शुक्रवार शाम 4:45 पर परिक्रमा कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत आजादी के तराने सिर्फ आकाशवाणी पर।
Welcome back to the Midday News on All India Radio. A total of 152 centers for financial literacy and service delivery, Saksham centers, have been launched under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihoods Mission, in a week as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The main objective of the center is to provide financial literacy and facilitate delivery of financial services to self-help group members and rural poor. Rural Development Ministry said the centers have been launched across 77 districts of 13 states. The ministry said the center will act as one-stop solution for basic financial needs of self-help group households in rural areas. The Jammu police yesterday arrested 2 people, including a police constable, in connection with a drone weapon dropping case in Phaliyan Mandal area of Makwal sector in Satwari area. The weapons were meant for helping the terrorists by Pakistan's intelligence agency, ISI. Our correspondent reports that both the arrested persons were brought to Jammu for questioning. The arrested police constable is a resident of Verinag in Anantnag, and his accomplice is a resident of Anantnag district of Kashmir division. Both of them were in contact with the handler sitting in Pakistan. They had information about the dropping of the weapons. So far, 3 people have been arrested in this case.
The Tamil Nadu Vigilance and Anti-Corruption Wing officials are conducting raids at 27 places today belonging to the chairman of the state Apex Cooperative Banks, Ilan Govan. Raids are conducted at his properties and also in the properties of his relatives in Chennai, Salem, Namakkal, Karur and Trichy districts. The officials also raided the Educational Trust office of E. Praveen Kumar, son of Ilan Govan. As the nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events has been organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Let's listen to a special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. India's glorious fight for freedom is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the valiant struggle every day.
On 22nd of October 1900 was born Ashfaqullah Khan in Shahjahanpur, Uttar Pradesh. Growing up, Khan heard stories from his eldest brother about the bravery and Urdu poetry of Ram Prasad Bismil. When the 1922 Chaura Chauri incident prompted Gandhi to end the non-cooperation movement, Khan was one of the many youngsters left disappointed.
In the mid-1920s, Khan and Bismil went on to found the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association HSRA with the aim of winning freedom for the country through an armed revolution. Khan had a flair for Urdu poetry and wrote under the pseudonyms Varsi and Hasrat Shahjahanpuri.
He wrote at length about the British conspiracy in India.
फूट डालकर शासन करने की चाल का हम पर कोई असर नहीं होगा और हिंदुस्तान आजाद होकर रहेगा. Your conspiracy to divide and rule India will not work. We will make Hindustan free. An armed struggle required finances. Thus, to arrange for the finances, Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan and 9 other members of the group planned to carry out train robbery. On the 9th of August 1925, Kakori Express was going from Shahjahanpur to Lucknow.
The train was carrying money that had been collected at various railway stations and was to be deposited in Lucknow. Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan and other revolutionaries stopped the train and fled with the cash they found in it.
They were arrested within a month of the robbery. The trial for the case went on for about 18 months and ended in April 1927. Ashfaqullah Khan, Ram Prasad Bismil, Rajendra Lahiri, Roshan Singh were sentenced to death and the others were given life sentences.
At the age of 27, Ashfaqullah Khan was hanged in Faizabad jail. When asked about his last wish, he said,
कुछ आरज़ू नहीं है आरज़ू तो ये है, रख दे कोई जरा सी खाके वतन कफन में.
A memorial grave was set up in his hometown of Shahjahanpur.
Vitthal Bhai Patel left for his heavenly abode on the 22nd of October 1933. An acclaimed leader and a humanist, Vitthal Bhai Patel was the elder brother of Sardar Vallabh Bhai Patel and a renowned freedom fighter.
Also on this day in 1947, Pakistan invaded Kashmir. When India got independence and was partitioned to create Pakistan in August 1947, Jammu and Kashmir was a princely state ruled by Hari Singh.
2 months after the independence, on October the 22nd, thousands of tribal mercenaries and Pakistan Army regulars invaded the Kashmir Valley, overrunning the outposts manned by the King's forces in Muzaffarabad and other places as they headed towards Srinagar, their ultimate target.
In this background of devastation, Hari Singh reached out to the Indian government in Delhi. He signed the instrument of accession and the Indian troops started landing in Jammu and Kashmir on October the 27th. The Indian troops launched a counter-attack. By November the 8th, the Indian forces secured Srinagar, the seat of the princely state.
The pushback continued till mid-November, when the scale of war was reduced. The war continued with lower intensity till the end of 1948. The ceasefire agreement was officially signed in January 1949.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar AIR News ke Sang. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Australia will soon establish a travel bubble with Singapore. Prime Minister Scott Morrison in a statement said the details of the plan will be revealed next week. Singapore will be only the second travel corridor for Australia which has closed its borders to foreigners since the start of the pandemic. It currently allows only New Zealanders to visit freely. The deal with Singapore extends Australia's aims to reopen international travel next month. But Australia will initially allow only vaccinated citizens, permanent residents and their family members to enter without needing to quarantine. United Kingdom Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs Elizabeth Truss has arrived in New Delhi today on a 3-day visit to India. During her stay in New Delhi, Ms. Truss will hold talks with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today on bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. Ms. Truss will travel to Mumbai tomorrow.
Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi has said that selection process of Hajj pilgrims will be done according to complete vaccination with both the doses and guidelines, and criteria will be decided by India and Saudi Arabia governments. Chairing a Hajj review meeting in New Delhi today, Mr. Naqvi said the preparations for Hajj 2022 have been started, keeping in mind the health and corona protocol of both the countries. He said the official announcement of Hajj 2022 will be made in the first week of November. Along with that, the process of online application will be started. Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri today handed over keys and flagged off 5 high-tech ambulances under HUDCO Corporate Social Responsibility Grant to Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Medical Sciences, Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital and Safdarjung Hospital.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted Home Minister Amit Shah on his birthday. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he has worked with Mr. Shah for several years and witnessed his outstanding contributions to strengthen the party and the government. He hoped that Mr. Shah will keep serving the nation with the same zeal. In Kerala, the red alert issued for Idukki Dam has been revised to orange following a slight dip in the water level. The dam authorities in Idukki have closed 2 of the 3 shutters of the Chiruthoni Dam, through which water was released from the Idukki reservoir since Tuesday. The decision to close the shutters was taken this afternoon in view of the declining water level in the reservoir. Water is now being released through a single shutter, allowing 40 cumecs to flow out. Meanwhile, India Meteorological Department says a trough runs from above the cyclonic circulation over Comorin area in South Tamil Nadu to East Central Arabian Sea off the Karnataka coast. It said under its influence, widespread rain and thunderstorm are likely in the state till the 26th of this month.
In Tamil Nadu, the Regional Meteorological Department has predicted normal to heavy rains in 12 districts including Madurai, Kanyakumari, Virudhunagar on the 25th and 26th of this month. With the northeast monsoon set in soon, the present rains are due to the upper air cyclonic circulation in the atmosphere. In the Men's T20 Cricket World Cup, in a Group B League match, Namibia will take on Ireland in Sharjah at 3:30 p.m. today, followed by a Group A clash between Sri Lanka and the Netherlands at the same venue at 7:30 p.m. Sri Lanka, Scotland and Bangladesh have already made it to the Super 12s.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for today. The national capital Delhi is likely to have mainly clear sky. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. It recorded a minimum temperature of 23 degrees Celsius while the maximum is expected to be 34 degrees. Chennai is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain, and Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says despite reaching 1 billion vaccination landmark, country's fight against COVID-19 still not over. Congratulating the nation on the achievement of extraordinary feat, Prime Minister appeals everyone to celebrate the upcoming festivals with utmost caution. Prime Minister writes an article in a leading newspaper on India's vaccination achievement, says success of the campaign was because people of India unanimously trusted Made in India vaccines. Over 100 crore 59 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Recovery rate stands at 98.16%, the highest since March 2020. 152 Saksham centers launched under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana in a week as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Jammu police arrest 2 people including a police constable in connection with a drone weapon dropping case in Makwal sector. And in T20 World Cup, Namibia to clash with Ireland at 3:30 p.m. today and Sri Lanka to take on the Netherlands at 7:30 p.m. And with that, we end the midday news.